Hello, my name is Stephen Beaver, and I am a student at Catawba College, and I'm taking an intro teaching course, and I'm here to talk to you today about my research paper that I did. For my research paper, I did how video games will affect the academic performance of students and their GPAs. To start things off, I want to talk about how a problematic technology in the past did in fact affect the GPA scores, and that's TV. Parents for the longest time worried that TV affected the scores, and there's been multiple studies to prove this is true. But there's a new technology out now, video games. I'm sure everyone's heard of them. They're kind of outclassing TVs by a lot, and parents are worried now that that's the new cause for their kids' low GPA scores. And so what I'm here today is to talk about that. And so with the release of the Atari in the 1970s, video games have seen a huge spike in popularity, especially with multiplayer games like Pong and things like that. Video games just they interest people. From what I read in history of video games, a lot of restaurants back in the 70s, 80s would actually purchase video games and install them in their business so they could draw in the teenagers and the lower age crowds. And it's kind of started a big boom where people are trying to out-compete one another for high scores and things of that nature. And so we skip forward to today's age, a online journal that I read, Nelson 360, they reported that as U.S. gamers 13 years and older spend an average of 6.3 hours a day playing video games, and that's actually up from 2013, which was 5.6 hours. And when I started doing some research, and I thought it'd be an easy topic, honestly, so that's why I selected it, and I got a lot of connection with the topic, honestly, well, me being a young person myself. But I found there wasn't a lot of studies on the academic performance and GPAs of students in correlation to the amount of hours they spend video games. Most of the studies really focus on behavior and cognitive. So I was actually pretty interested in this when I started delving into it, especially the fact how society views video games produces low academic scores. So I just want to see if there's any truth behind that. A study in 2000 showed the negative correlation between time playing video games and student GPA scores. This is found on an online journal that I found, the effects of video games on student achievements. But on the flip side, in the same article, it talked about how a research paper in 2005 showed video games are changing the way students learn. So it went into detail and talked about how students take more progressive approach and learn by experiencing things firsthand instead of being told what to do, which does make sense as the progressivism approach is more hands-on and allows students to find it easier to learn that way. But the study I want to focus on was a study done by the College of Coastal Georgia. What they did is actually selected 191 students from lower curriculum classes. That way they get a wide variety of students. They had the students' ages were 18 through 35, and they requested GPA scores so they could further study, of course, and they also asked how long they played video games a day. And so they took all the data that they got from the surveys, and using SPSS, which is a data analysis program, they got the following results. The results were that majority of the people who played video games had a GPA above a 3.0, which was really kind of surprising for me. They also asked a question if playing video games caused them to put off work and procrastinate. Only 3.4% of the students said yes. 50% of them actually said that sometimes it does, and 46.5% said it never causes them to do that. That to me is shocking because honestly, for me playing video games, sometimes I put them before doing my schoolwork. I know it sounds kind of bad, but just something I've always done. Like if I got a big project or a huge test coming up, I find it relaxing to play some games first before I actually go ahead and do that, which does in turn cause me to put it off. They also asked if playing video games causes them to perform less satisfaction on the work they do turn in, and 6.8% of them said yes, or 28% of them said somewhat, and 64% said not at all, which is really good. I was glad to see those results. The reason I find studies like this very important is because it shows different angles to measure the correlation between academic scores and playing video games. I don't think there's a set one that we found effective right now. So depending on the variables you decide to measure, the results will vary. And even though there's no clear results at the given time, the information we get from the studies can be used to help shape future studies. What I think is important about these studies right here is teachers can take this information and they can find a way to incorporate it in their classrooms, because unfortunately for us teachers, video games aren't going nowhere. They're pretty much a staple in society, and they're going to keep evolving and keep getting bigger, getting more popular. New systems come out. The old ones are going cheaper, so it's going to be easier for new ones, for the systems to move into households of people who can't afford the new systems. So video games are going to be part of our society, and I think it's important for us teachers, especially as rising teachers, to find ways to incorporate bringing video games into our classrooms and using it to help students achieve higher academic performance. What's pretty cool is there's actually a course offered at North Carolina State University. It's called MEGA. It stands for Multiplayer Educational Gaming Application, and it's actually a course that teaches rising teachers in their program how to actually incorporate video games into their study plan. And this is something that I found very interesting. It's new knowledge to me. I never even heard anything like this. But what the program hopes to do is help bridge the gap between experimental learning and information representation. They actually found the students want to learn from e-learning for 3 reasons. Through the MEGA program, called it helps them feel like they're connected, which can be seen in most video games that you play today. A lot of them are online. So that feeling of being connected and being a part of a bigger picture thrills a lot of students. Also, being entertained. I mean, let's just think about it. I mean, when we saw the cart with a VCR roll in high school or at middle school, we knew it was going to be a great day. We're going to watch a movie or a video or a documentary or learn something good, instead of just sitting up there and hearing a teacher teach out of a textbook all day. And that's kind of the idea they have behind it. It also gives them a chance to present themselves, because when they actually take this course, the teachers learn how to let the students create avatars that represent themselves, so they can be anything they want, and they're not stricken to being themselves a lot of times. And so stuff like getting picked on by the way you look and things like that, that's something you ain't got to worry about, because you're not really showing yourself. You're just presenting your avatar and your personality and your work you've done. I think programs like MEGA are a great step in the right direction. They combine the fun of video games with school, and it can help students learn a lot better. And technology and teaching go hand in hand, and we should find ways to blend them two together. And although it may be a challenge, I think the rewards will be great. I myself intend to incorporate all the technology I can into my science classroom, so I'm going to be a science teacher. And I feel that in order for us to experience the world, we must use all tools necessary, and that means all technology. So, and it also kind of plays off my teaching philosophy, because I'm a progressive teacher, and I hope that I myself can find a way to make my students learn better using technology. And yeah, that's that. So thank you guys for listening, and hope you have a great day.